And welcome back to our channel. So today we are starting to decorate the van. We are going to be painting the walls, and at some point we're going to be installing the ceiling and the floor. So this big wooden box will turn into something that looks a little bit more like a house. We're going to need to sand the walls down because the wood that we've put on has been treated. So we're going to need to sand it down to the bare wood, and then we can put a primer on it, and then we can start painting. We are thinking of, so we have our little windowsill trim here. We're thinking of staining this the same colour that we're going to do the ceiling. We're using the same wood for the ceiling, but we're thinking of going in and staining it. We've already got the wood stain in there. So once the ceiling goes on, the wee trim pieces around the windows will be the same colour as that. So we're going to do a lot of the decorating stuff today and hopefully get the van looking a little bit better.
Okay, Sarah Jane and I have just finished sanding. So we used the electric sander to do all of the walls, and we're getting ready to prime. So we've got some Valspar primer here, just some white stuff, and it's the first wee test bit of it on. So we're going to do basically all of the van now. We're going to prime it all and then get it ready for painting.
Okay, so that is the first coat of the wall primer on. It does look quite ghastly, to be honest, but I think it is just because it's white and we haven't done a full proper coat of it, and I mean the paint we're putting on over the top of it will be like a more creamy colour, so it hopefully shouldn't look as stark, but that's the first one on. So also had to do around this side of the shower, and yeah, ignore that door because it's the handle needs fixed on it, so it's off at the minute. But yeah, and then just had to do around the trim around the windows. But that's the first coat. We're gonna let it dry and then go in with the second coat, and that'll be the primer done, and then we can go in with the paint. Okay, so in addition to the painting, we're also staining our trim pieces. You can see these are the ones that I haven't done, well, a wee bits on them, but it's not going to look like that when we're done. We do 3 coats of it, and we're also going to do ceiling stained, so it'll be a wee bit different from the walls, but we thought it'd be nice to do the trim pieces, so I'm just doing that now. We have done 1 coat of the primer on the walls. We'll need to do another one once that dries, but I'm doing this for now. Okay, so that is the second coat of the primer on. It looks a little bit better because it's not so patchy now, but it is very bright. So yeah, we're just hoping our actual paint colour isn't as hospital looking. But yeah, we're gonna let that dry overnight because it is dark now, so we can get on to painting another day, but that's how it's looking at the minute. Okay, so we're back for day 2 of painting the walls. The primer has completely dried overnight, so we're going to go in with the actual colour that we've chosen. We have just put it on some of the door panels that aren't on the door right now, and it does look a lot better than this really stark white, so we're going to get in and do that now. We are also thinking of doing around the walls, or around the doors, onto this bit, so I've just went and cleaned that on all of the doors and on the sliding door as well. So we're gonna get in, we're gonna do that now. Hopefully it'll start to look a wee bit better. Okay, so that is the first coat of the actual paint on. I quite like the colour. Obviously it does need another coat, but it is definitely 10 times better than like the really stark white colour, which is what I was really scared it was gonna look like. But yeah, just gonna need to let that dry and then I can get a second coat on. We're either gonna leave it at 2 coats or we'll see what it looks like and then maybe do a third. But yeah, it's looking a lot more like a little house now, rather than a cardboard shipping container, because that's what it was sort of given for a while. But I'm gonna let it dry. It's not raining too bad, it's sort of sprinkling a wee bit and hopefully it won't get any worse and it'll actually have a chance to dry. But it is water based, so it's okay actually for the minute. Andrew is currently getting solar sorted out, so I think he's away to go get a solar panel and he's gonna do that because he's not the best at the painting, so I'm just gonna probably do that myself. And yeah, just gonna let that dry and then can go in with the second coat. The trim pieces, I'm gonna put a third coat on them of the stain, but I'm gonna let them dry a little bit more first. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. We have this piece behind the bulkhead, and then yeah, just the rest of the van. I'm also going over onto like the metal of the van, like right at the bottom, and I will do that step eventually. But yeah, as you can see there, it's just going onto the metal a wee bit. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so it's been another couple hours. I've just went over the doors, like the actual metal part of it, because it's really awkward to get to, so I figured I might as well do that while I'm waiting for the actual walls to dry, and then I'm gonna do another coat now. That'll be all I'm doing. I'm gonna give it a few days, see what it looks like, and if it needs a third coat I can do a third coat on another day. But yeah, I'll set up a camera and just try and get it done now, I suppose. Okay, so I ended up having to do another coat of the paint. So this is the third and final one. There is the tiniest little bit left in the can, so very glad I didn't need to buy any more, but I'm gonna let that dry. And yeah, I also filled in some of the pinholes. I didn't do this one, so you can sort of see what it did look like, and they were all over the walls, so I filled those in with some filler and painter's mate in the bigger ones. But that's it done now. Just gonna need to let it dry. I'm very glad the painting's over. I never want to have to do this again because it has been, I think, 5 coats now between the actual paint and the primer, so 5 times around this van is more than enough. So today we are installing our ceiling. We've already painted the walls, so this is the next step, although we have a couple things we need to do while we're doing this. We have overhead lights that are going to go on just with a switch, and we're going to need to wire those in before the ceiling can officially go in. We're also going to need to make the holes for those lights to go in. We have our max air fan wires, and we also have just today cut the holes for the solar wires, so all of that wiring is going to need to be wired up before the ceiling can go in, but we do need to stain the wood for it. So we're going to get all the wood and we're going to size it up and get it exactly where it needs to go and number it so we know exactly where it needs to go, and then we can take it all out and stain it and then also do the wiring. So it's going to be a little bit complicated. We're not electricians, so it's a bit daunting, but we sort of have an idea of what to do. And yeah, I guess we're just gonna get stuck in and start getting it all measured to size, but we will show you the process so you know what we're doing.
So we are now putting our ceiling tongue and groove in. This is our first bit. We're happy enough with how it's looking height wise and things, and we're about to continue on, so we're going to set up a wee time lapse to show you what we're doing.
We're just screwing it into the wooden battens that we installed in the ceiling, so it's a lot easier than screwing into metal.
So I've had a busy day today. We have put in our ceiling. We've just dry fitted it because we want to make sure that everything fits. We're then going to stain it, take it back down, stain it, and then reinstall it, and we'll do a video on that. This is how it's looking without any stain, just untreated wood. But yeah, just need to get the wee cuts for the wee corner now, and then that's us.
Okay, so this is the ceiling panels. They've dried for a week, so we're gonna take them all out, get them sanded down, and then we can start getting the ceiling installed. But that's the sort of colour that they're looking at right now. So I have all of the ceiling panels here, and there's some up there as well. Now you might be wondering why we're sanding these, but this is two that haven't been sanded, and these are two that have been. Other than the fact that they feel like a lot smoother and they aren't as rough, I think we just really prefer the look of this one, or well, these three. They're like a lot less orangey. I'm not sure if the camera's like picking it up, but these are like very orange looking. These are not so much. So figuring out that we could just sand it down and it would turn slightly different colour that we preferred a lot more has saved us a lot of money on the Woodstain, considering we bought like 5 litres of it, and yeah, actually managed to use some of it. So really happy with how this looks. So hopefully once it's all up in the van, we'll still like the look of it, like beside the walls. But yeah, I've done 3 so far, so I'm gonna have to do all of these and then we can get it installed. Right now Andrew's doing some wiring before all this can go in, so hopefully it'll look good. Okay, so about an hour and a half later, that is all of the ceiling completely sanded. The reason we sort of did it with the actual like flexi sandpaper is because the machine one is like way too fast and it would probably just sand all of the wood stain off. So I think it was 180 grit sandpaper, and that's it all done now. So we're gonna set up a time lapse and try and get all the ceiling installed. It's been, well, there's numbers and letters on it, so it goes A to O, and whatever position it's in, it's either 1, 2, 3 or 4. So we sort of know where it's going, so a bit like a puzzle, and we'll try and get it up. And yeah, very excited to see what it looks like. Right, so we got about halfway with the ceiling panels, and then we realised that we needed to still wire up all of our LED lights. So we've completely done that, and we've finished wiring up all the solar, and we've ran it all into the conduit that goes behind the wall and goes out there. And we've also wired up the Mk7 fan, so now that all the wiring has been done, we can finally get the ceiling panels installed properly. But it did take a good few hours and it was a bit complicated, but it's all done now and it's all sitting tidy, so we're gonna get the rest of the ceiling up. Okay, so the ceiling is up. We are leaving the final piece out for these solar wires that still need to be ran down the inside of the shower piece, but we're going to get the trim pieces on both the skylight and the Mk7 fan now, and then that'll be everything screwed into place. Just to finish off the ceiling, we've installed this wee trim piece. We just stained it and sanded it the same as the ceiling, but it finished this off quite well because there was a slight gap over that direction. We will eventually put it on that side, but we want to get that last ceiling panel up, and the solar wires need run for that first. So that is basically the ceiling completed. We also played around behind here because we completely forgot about that the first time around. So that is the ceiling fully installed. Okay, so that is basically the ceiling and the walls completely done. There is a few smaller things to do, like adding an L-shaped trim on either side of the shower here, but this wall does need to come back down to run our shower pipes and to feed those wires behind the panels. Then that bit of the last ceiling can go back on, and we will probably have some sort of trim in this corner. We don't want to make things harder for ourselves though by putting that on now, so we will wait probably a couple of months before we do that, but we'd like to get a video out. So now that the walls and the ceiling is basically done, we're actually pretty happy with it. We think it looks a lot better than we expected, and it looks like the difference when I was editing the video, like from the start where it literally just looked like a cardboard box. It is really cool to see how it's all coming together. So we do have some bits to add still, but for the minute this is as good as it's gonna get. The floor will probably go in the next couple weeks, and it'll all start to come together a little bit more. But thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and if you got all the way to the end of the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of our videos.